why meditation does not work. Let us first begin by trying to define or understand what does meditation mean. Meditation is used by various people to mean various different things, but we are going to use it in the technical sense today. In the technical sense, meditation is single pointed attention on a single thought under the supervision of the intellect. Single pointed attention under the supervision of the intellect. So there's one thought and the intellect awares that thought, and that is known as meditation. Meditation is sometimes loosely understood to, people say things like, I want to start a business, I'm meditating on whether I should do that, or I'm meditating on who to get married to. It's used quite loosely, but here when we use it in the spiritual sense, in the philosophical sense, we're using it in a very particular and specific sense, one thought under the supervision of the intellect. So this definition is important because that tells you what are the two elements that are required for something to be called meditation. Sometimes mere relaxation is called meditation, but meditation is not relaxation. Meditation is actually hard work. Why is it such hard work? Because you're trying to keep your mind on one thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts under the supervision of the intellect. Now when there is the supervision of the intellect, but it's not one thought, such as right now, you're listening to a lecture. There are many thoughts going on. It's not one thought, but hopefully your intellect is keeping your mind there. When your intellect keeps your mind on a field of thoughts, this is known as concentration. When your intellect keeps your mind on a thought, this is known as meditation. So meditation is a concentrated form of concentration. Most people cannot concentrate, but they try to meditate. That makes no sense. It's like saying, I can't shoot on the board, but I'm going to practice on bullseye. It doesn't work. You have to know how to shoot somewhere on the board before you're going to be able to hit bullseye. So the intellect must have the capacity to first and foremost keep the mind on a field of thoughts, concentration. And once it has mastered this, it can go to the next step of keeping the mind on a thought. Some people also misunderstand and they say that as long as there's one thought, it's meditation. No, it's not. Merely one thought doesn't make it meditation, because remember our definition, it has to be one thought under the supervision of the intellect. The mind is capable of being on a thought without the supervision of the intellect. Consider this. Two lovers thinking of each other. They're thinking of each other, they're not thinking of anything else. The mind is in one area. Does that make it concentration? Certainly not. So just because the mind stays somewhere doesn't make it concentration. For instance, if you're enjoying this lecture and your mind just stays with it, is that concentration? No, it's merely indulgence. Your mind likes something, and since it likes it, it stays there. This is not concentration. This is mental indulgence. What about one thought? What about if your mind stays on one thought? When your mind by itself stays on one thought, in Sanskrit it's called laya, in English trance. People go into a trance because their mind is on one thought. So that is not meditation either. So when your mind stays in a field of thoughts, it is not concentration. It could be mental indulgence. When your mind stays on a single thought, it is not meditation. It is laya or trance. It's a spiritual impediment. But when your intellect makes your mind stay in a particular area, this is called concentration. When your intellect makes your mind stay on a particular thought, single thought, this is known as meditation. So, what is meditation? Meditation is your intellect keeping your mind on one thought, such as Om, 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 one thought. Now, many people sit down to meditate without having mastered concentration. So, how do you master concentration? What is the absence of concentration? Your mind is running here and there, and the intellect is not able to hold it in place. And why is your mind running everywhere? The mind will run wherever the desires are. As the desires, the mind will run. So right now, if you have a desire of like, what's for dinner? So mind is gone, what's for dinner? Or you have a desire for something that's a mail that you're about to receive. So you're thinking, has the mail come? So where does the mind go? It goes to wherever you have desires. So what breaks our concentration is the presence of so many desires. When there are so many desires, the intellect is not able to hold the mind somewhere. Desires, multiplicity of desires break our concentration. There is no question of us being able to meditate. But some people, they try to force their minds to meditate in spite of the presence of so many desires. That unfortunately causes a sort of mental breakdown. It's something like this: a child bubbling with energy. You tie the child to a chair and you don't let the child move. The child will not grow up to be an adult. It will develop a warped personality like that. And that's what happens to people who take to meditation. We hear of them seeing hallucinations, we hear of them speaking to God, we hear all sorts of things going on. They become incapable of having a proper conversation. These are all dangerous things. It is showing that the mind is getting warped. Such people will soon be requiring psychiatric aid. But they find that their problems will be solved by meditation. They don't recognize that meditation is going to exacerbate the problem, it's going to worsen the problem. What needs to be done is we need to take up the 3 yogas, cool down our passions and desires, and then come to the seat of meditation. We believe that with so many desires, meditation will give us peace. It's a wrong concept. Meditation doesn't give us peace. Peaceful people meditate. When agitated people meditate, their minds simply crack. And that's why meditation doesn't work for people. It's because they take it up prematurely. We have to mature into the state of meditation and then take it up. Cannot take it up before we are ready to do so. And what is that maturity which will enable us to meditate? The level of desires in our system has gone down. And that will give us the ability to meditate. Not only will it give us the ability to meditate, there's a purpose in the meditation. Meditation is not undertaken to develop concentration. You understand that? Because concentration is a prerequisite for meditation. So you cannot meditate to concentrate. Just like you cannot get a PhD to do your BA. It doesn't work like that. You do your BA and then you can go for the PhD. So some people believe meditation will give you concentration. Not so. Those who can concentrate can meditate, will in the future be able to meditate. Some people believe that meditation gives you peace. Not so. Meditation will worsen the agitations because the mind will crack. Meditation has a purpose. Meditation is not for peace and for concentration. The purpose of meditation is self-realization. Meditation is the highest spiritual sadhana to achieve the self-realized state. It is the last step on the spiritual journey. The closer and closer that one goes to the self, the more and more will it become essential to meditate and finally realize the self. That's the path at the end. What is meditation going to do? The whole spiritual path is bringing yourself to single-pointed focus on God. What is the role of meditation? That you should be able to drop that last thought. So the purpose of meditation is to take this mind which has brought itself to single-pointed concentration. Take this individuality which has come to single-pointed concentration on God and then drop that last thought. And that is the process by which we realize the self. So evidently, clearly, meditation is not something you do in the earlier parts of the journey. It is that which you have to do at the very end of the journey. The purpose is to drop the thought. In silence, you have to drop that last thought. What's the point of dropping it during the journey? During the journey, you don't have to drop the thought. You have to encourage that thought. You have to build up that thought so that with the help of that thought, all other thoughts go away. So first you build that, bring it to single pointed concentration. And the last thing you do is meditate, drop the last thought, and what you're left with is finally pure consciousness or the state of enlightenment. If we do any other thing, we will find meditation is not working. Meditation is not working because you're not making it do the work it is supposed to do.